This is a lecture video 581 through 595. We left off here last time with the money question, and the money policy is the most divisive political issue of the late 19th century. It is a really big deal, and to break it down, it's pretty simple. Creditors, bankers, conservative economists, and many business leaders supported a sound money policy to ensure economic stability, maintain property values, and retain investor confidence. They want to leave things the way it is. The people that have the money want to keep the money, and they don't want to add more money to the system because then they got to get more of it. When you add more money to the system, the value of the money goes down. However, farmers and other debtors wanted to expand the money supply to match the nation's growing political economy. Therefore, it'd be easier to get that money. Conflict on money focused on the use of paper currency and silver coinage. Our money is backed on gold at this point. And the farmers and debtors who believe in silver, adding silver, want to add silver to the monetary system. So it's not just gold, but gold and silver. And it divided Southerners and Westerners against Eastern conservatives and people who just want to leave things alone the way it is. All right, so farmers protest inequities throughout the West and the South. There's an agricultural depression of the late 1880s that farmers finally say, if we don't start working together, we are not going to be able to mobilize again. We have to work together. And they protested that the system of money and credit worked against agriculture, and they're never going to be able to get out of it. And it's a tough business. Farming is a tough business. And monetary deflation worsened the debt burden of farmers. They need to inflate the monetary system, add more money to the system. High railroad rates and protective tariffs also were targets of farmer reforms, which they will get issued to. But there's the big deal, guys, is that they've got a lot against them at this point in time. Farmers organized the Farmers Alliance in the South and the West, and this group tries to establish cooperatives or co-ops and develop new ideas to solve rural credit and currency problems. And they start having some successes. The Farmers Alliance helps build the Populist Party, and again, nationally, this doesn't go. They don't make a big splash on the scene, but regionally, they make a big splash on the scene. State level third parties ran populist campaigns. They gained control of 2 state legislators and won several congressional elections. And the Populists were organized in 1892 and ran on what was known as the Omaha Platform, which here's the Omaha Platform, which demanded economic and political reform to aid distressed farmers and workers. Though meeting disappointments at the national level, the Populists received over 1 million votes and carried several Western states and won hundreds of state offices throughout the West and some areas of the South. But again, they don't make a big splash. They do nominate presidential candidates, and they do push the issues for the farmers and for the workers, but they are not successful. In time and later, the Populists will see what they started become law or pass, but that's only in time. It won't be directly because of them. A long, harsh depression began in 1893 and led to labor unrest and violence. We have problems now with workers. The major political parties did not respond to the crisis, and President Cleveland refused to listen to appeals for reform. So something's got to change. The unemployed rallied around one man, Jacob Coxey, and he calls for a march on Washington, D.C., and many Americans are sympathetic to the plight of the unemployed. The government ended up suppressing Coxey's army, and we talked about in class how and what their outcome of that march on Washington was. The federal government is still protecting big business. That's one of the other reasons why we don't talk about these presidents a lot, because these presidents are the ones that do protect big businesses against labor unrest through decisions they make, and then, of course, Congress through legislation they put forth. Here's a picture of Coxey's army marching to Washington. Unpopular action and the continuing depression alienated workers and farmers from Cleveland. They're done with Cleveland. And the Democrat Party, they're just not doing what they're supposed to. And silver becomes the main issue of the presidential election of 1896. This is the first big presidential election of this semester. McKinley wins the Republican nomination on the platform of high tariffs and the gold standard. Gold, 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 gold. So, easy way to remember this. McKinley is Republican. Republicans are gold. Okay? The Democrats nominate William Jennings Bryan on a silver platform because he gives the famous speech, "Do not crucify America on a cross of gold." Now, the Progressive Party, the Populist Party, the People's Party, whatever you want to call them, we're going to nominate William Jennings Bryan, but the Democrat Party nominates him first. So you have this big campaign. It's intense. It's dramatic. It's closing out the 1800s, and William Jennings Bryan ends up losing the election to McKinley. And, sorry, wrong way. And thus, the People's Party kind of dies. Populist Party dies. The whole silver movement dies and goes away because of McKinley running. But you can see here the massive amount of votes that are garnered for each side, and how close this race really was. And of course, how split the country actually is. That is William Jennings Bryan. And there's McKinley on a gold coin, commerce, civilization, prestige at home and prestige abroad. And we'll talk about McKinley abroad later, but this is after he wins the presidential election. That is the very quick and very short reading selection for 10 short pages that close out chapter 20, pages 597 through 607.